what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it.
Right now, I want to bring in Zack Nagy, covers the LSU Tigers for SI. Zach, what's going on this morning?
Man, not too much. Ready to talk some LSU football.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into the transfer portal a little bit later, but, kind of the news that everyone's talking about right now, it broke on Friday. Hadn't had a chance to talk about it yet. What are your thoughts on Harold Perkins coming back?
Yeah, man, I love the return. Obviously, Harold is an elite athlete that provides kind of a different element to this LSU defense. So it's exciting to get him back in the mix, and even more exciting to see how they're going to utilize his skill set. We know that there's been some kind of different uses of him when it comes to where he's at on the field. So for me, I'm excited to see how they use his skill set, see how they can maximize his potential. And if anybody's going to be able to do it, I feel like it's going to be defensive coordinator Blake Baker. And we've seen how kind of talented he is with his schemes and putting players in the right position to be successful. So now it's kind of a matter of where do you put Perkins in order to maximize that potential. So it's exciting. It adds a new look to this defense, and a lot of the players are excited to have him back as well. So I couldn't be more ecstatic to have him back on the field in 2025.
Where do you want to see him? Because I was talking about it a lot. You could put him at linebacker, at edge, at star. Where do you like Harold Perkins next year?
Yeah, I think when you have a guy like Whit Weeks who's really thriving at that linebacker slot, West Weeks comes back as well. You got a youngster in Devon Keys at linebacker as well. I think that bread and butter spot for Harold Perkins could be at that star role. We saw Major Burns struggle to a certain degree this season at that spot, and there's going to be some times where Harold Perkins is going to have to drop back in coverage where it's going to be exciting to see if he can kind of get comfortable and whatnot back there. But for me, I think they're going to try to put him at the star spot and see what he can do from there. I think it's going to be worth the kind of trial and error, but I certainly think that that's where they could put him at to start off kind of this 2025 season.
All right, Zach, I want to shift to the transfer portal right now. Right after the news of Harold Perkins broke on Friday, it was also reported that LSU landed offensive lineman Josh Thompson from Northwestern. What can he bring to this team, and where do you see him playing? Because he's a lot of people have him listed as an interior lineman, but obviously LSU has a big need at tackle. Where do you see him lining up?
Yeah, Josh Thompson adds a lot of versatility to this offensive line moving forward. And you already brought in Braylon Moore, the Virginia Tech transfer, and that's the number one interior offensive lineman in the portal once he committed. So for me, when you look at a guy like Josh Thompson, I think he can be used as a tackle. I think he can be used inside. You're going to want to probably put him at tackle to start off his time in Baton Rouge just because you're obviously losing Will Campbell. You're losing Emory Jones. You're losing 4 out of your 5 starters from the 2025 season. So LSU went out and made a splash to get him. Tennessee was trending heavily. And then at kind of the 11th hour, LSU came in and made an offer and continued to recruit him heavily and ultimately got him to seal the deal. But it's a player that provides tremendous versatility, was about as coveted as they come in the portal. And now you can have him come in and kind of test out where you want to put him. For me, I think tackle could be a spot where he could come in and make an immediate impact. But it's going to be fun to see how Brad Davis utilizes Josh Thompson because he's just a player that can do it all inside.
Sticking with the offensive line, do you think they're done with O-line in the transfer portal? Because we've been talking about it, right? Like Thompson can play guard and tackle. Whether it's Carius Kern, whether it's Solomon Thomas, they're kind of guys that can do both. You don't really have that pure tackle. Like, are they done, or did they like the guys that they've recruited moving them to tackle?
Yeah, it's exciting because I think you have a lot of youngsters that can step in the mix as well and provide kind of an instant impact piece. You highlighted Carius Kern just now, and that's a player that I think is a day one player who can jump in the mix immediately and compete for a starting job. And Brian Kelly alluded to that on National Signing Day, that this is a player that really has that SEC build already. So for me, when it comes to the transfer portal, I couldn't imagine them kind of going out and getting another guy. Would I be surprised? No, just because they've proven that they're willing to go outside the box and get just about anybody they want. So if they want another offensive lineman, they'll certainly go and do that. But right now, I think after going and getting Braylon Moore, getting Josh Thompson, you have Tyree Adams, Paul Mabenga, Weston Davis, Carius Kern coming in, Solomon Thomas. I mean, the list goes on and on. Brad Davis has an embarrassment of riches to work with. I think they have the guys that they need right now. But again, kind of circling back, wouldn't be surprised. I just don't think that's the route that they're going to go in right now.
As far as biggest needs remaining for this team, the position everyone's keeping an eye on right now, is the safety spot for the Tigers. Are there any names LSU fans should keep an eye on?
Yeah, that's an exciting one, and I think ultimately it's going to come down to that quote-unquote second portal window where you start to see players from college football playoff teams enter the portal and whatnot. When it comes to names right now, I don't think there's that many you can say right now just because players are still actively kind of going through bowl games, going through playoff games, etc. But there are going to be some guys to keep tabs on in the next 5 to 6 days, especially with the window the portal's now closed. Now when teams kind of end their season, they have a 5-day window to enter the portal. So we're going to see some names enter the mix very, very soon. I'd expect LSU to take 2 safeties here. You got to add some depth there. Right now, you're really only working with Javian Toviano, Jordan Gilbert, Deshaun Spears. You're very limited. You're razor thin in that safety room. So I'd expect them to take 2 guys. It's going to be exciting to see the options that they have because, it seems like everybody that comes down to campus for a visit, they ultimately seal the deal for. So when it comes to safety, certainly a position of need. You're going to have to knock it out of the park. And once they do that, you're looking at a reloaded, retooled, and re-energized defensive backfield and just a whole defense moving forward.
All right, Zach, switching from Zack Nagy, our guest right now, switching from transfer portal to this bowl game we got coming up tomorrow, LSU versus Baylor. What do you want to see from the Tigers in the Texas Bowl?
Yeah, I want to see some youngsters step in the mix and make an impact. Really excited to see the receiver rotation that they throw out there. I think the names that everybody's excited to see is going to be Aaron Anderson, Xavier Thompson, Chris Hilton, of course. But that wide receiver 4 spot, the guy to come in is going to be where I'm kind of shifting focus towards. I want to see if they put in Kylan Billiot, Jelani Watkins, etc. Excited to see where they go in the wide receiver room moving forward because you got Barry and Brown coming in. You got Nick Anderson coming in. But I want to see some youngsters also become impactful moving forward in the receiving game with Garrett Nussmeier. So for me, I'm really just looking at youngsters, true freshmen, etc., stepping in the mix and moving forward. And that also highlights the offensive line. I don't want to beat a dead horse here because we just talked about the offensive line. But I'd like to see guys like Weston Davis, Tyree Adams, Paul Mabenga, etc., get some significant run in this bowl game. Show Brad Davis that they can come out and really kind of carry the torch moving on to next season because we already know Emory Jones, Will Campbell, Dellinger, Miles Frazier, etc. Those are some elite offensive linemen. Now it's time for that next wave of LSU offensive linemen to carry the torch. Excited to see which youngsters can step in on Tuesday and really carry that momentum.
All right, Zach, you got a final pick for us? Who wins this game?
Look, man, you look at all the sports books right now, and everybody's favoring Baylor 2.5, 3.5 points. And then you go and look at the ESPN FPI, and they've got LSU as a heavy favorite. So it's split in a bunch of different aspects. For me, I'm going to ride with Garrett Nussmeier, and I know it's a homer take, out of being a guy that covers LSU. But for me, I just think Garrett Nussmeier is just a severe weapon that's going to give that defense trouble. When it comes to LSU's defense, I know that they're lacking depth there just because the portal, opt-outs, etc. But I think they can get the job done. I believe in Blake Baker and having a kind of a whole month to game plan for the most part for this bowl game. I think they're going to come out, fire on all cylinders, get that 9th win of the year, and carry that momentum into the offseason because that's such a luxury when you have a new-look team. Garrett Nussmeier's coming back. You want to carry that momentum.
I hope you're right, Zach. That would give them so much momentum heading into the offseason. Zack Nagy with us right now. Zach, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, man. Thanks so much for hopping on. I've kept you too long.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. You have a good one.
Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
Those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.